What's up, YouTube? For today's video, with a Chi-Yu team. Chi-Yu is the last Ruderous shiny Pokemon I wanted to cover for this little series that I was doing. This Pokemon is quite barren in its move pool, so I came up with 6 individual movesets for it, and it was pretty fun, but it was actually pretty tough because it is weak to a lot of common moves. It has no priority, and it has tons and tons of counters. So it was quite a challenge to get some good battles, but I've got some real bangers for you tonight. I've got 6 battles, and I hope you enjoy. What do you all think of Chi-Yu? Let me know about it in the comment section. And if you want to support your homie, hit that like button. Alright, we got a Glimmora lead, which totally isn't going to use a setup move. Let's give it a little taunt. And this set is actually based around... It was actually a counter for a Pokemon that had setup stats on the first turn. So I had Burning Jealousy. So Burning Jealousy 100% burns a target if they do have a stat rise on the same turn. I thought I could get away with that with Zacian and stuff like that. That was a Focus Sash, Taunt Set, Reflect, and Memento. Max special attack and speed. It didn't really do a heck of a lot in the battles. It just taunted and did a bit of damage. Set up Reflect and Memento to the first Pokemon. Most of the time it just fainted. Glimmora is going to be going for Ancient Power here, feigning my next Chi-Yu, which was a physical set, a bit mixed physical and special set, based around Parafusion and flinching and stuff, which was absolutely dreadful, but it was pretty fun to use here. I'm going to swap back in my other Chi-Yu that I used before and finishing off with Burn and Jealousy. So at least it wasn't able to set up Toxic Spikes and Stealth Rocks. I had people turn 1 spamming Stealth Rocks. I had 400 Cleaver leads. People just wanted to press the A button. It was a nightmare. So I went through quite a few battles. I had Shell Smash Blastoise turn 1, you know. And there's not much you can really do to a lot of those because it doesn't have any priority moves too, right? So Torkoal's going to come in. Torkoal commonly runs Stealth Rock, Yawn, etc. So obvious taunt there was a good play. Most of the time, it only has a fire move, say Flamethrower, Heat Wave, or Eruption. So Chi-Yu's got a nice high special defensive stat, so it is able to deal with it pretty well. Torkoal's going to go for Rapid Spin there. That's a common move it has on it, but they can't really do a lot. I don't know what their trainer name is, like Iroza. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that means anything, but I have no idea. So bringing in their walking meme here, this is going to get a speed boost. Chi-Yu number 1 was a Choice Spec set. So this was definitely the real powerhouse of my team here. So it's got a great special attack, max special attack, and max speed to nature Choice Specs. I had Dark Pulse, Overheat in the sun as well, Terra Blast, and Psychic. So in comes Annihilate there. I'm going to get some solid damage on it, and I got a flinch as well. It's a bulky set because it does have leftovers. Actually, it's an incredibly bulky set. Matter of fact, I think that was max health and max special defense to be able to live that attack so well. So I've got quite a strong lead at the moment, which is pretty good. And now we've got a Shaman Sky coming in here. Speaking of Shaman Sky, I did see the new regulation, or the regulation for VGC and stuff is now like, it's gone back to regulation J now, the mythical one. Shaman actually caused me a lot of problems because Serene Grace and Air Slash was like 60%, so they were able to cheese my Chi-Yu right out of there. So that was a bit of a shame, but I got a flinch earlier on, so it's fair game. Next Pokemon is Chi-Yu number 5. This is a Citrus Berry sweeping set with Terra Blast Water. It was useful against Rock-type Pokemon and Ground-type Pokemon and stuff like that. The sun is going to fade here, but this... This Shaman just kept flinching me over and over again, which really, really sucked and was burning up all my items and things too. Finally, I was able to get around it and actually land a single attack, and that's going to take out the Shaman there. I had Fire Blast on there too as a coverage remove. I tried to do different move sets on there, so on all of them I tried to do different ones. Next Pokemon they had was actually a very good counter for my team, which was Arceus Dragon. So that meant I couldn't use any of my fire moves. Arceus is obviously a very good Pokemon. It's naturally bulky. It can learn a wide variety of moves and stuff. So I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna. Let's see what the set is. My first thought after seeing it was it'd probably be a special set with Judgment. Being Dragon, it works well. So that did about half my health there. This is actually a really tanky Chi-Yu. it's actually pretty fun. So we got Will-O-Wisp, Fire Spin, Hex, and Snarl. Leftovers as the item and Terra Ghost. Terra Ghost actually isn't all that bad on Chi-Yu because it is weak to fighting, and your fighting is used a lot. We got the Arceus setting up Calm Mind, which is going to be an issue here. My EV spread, if you are curious, is max health and max defense, bold nature. So Chi-Yu doesn't have a very good defensive stat, so I was like, I'll make a bulky set, you know, on the defensive one, see if we can get some W's, you know. So I was able to get Leftovers Recovery. With a Calm Mind, I was thinking, this is going to be quite close. I should just be able to live at least one hit badly, and I did. So that worked out pretty nice, and I was able to get the Fire Spin off on there too. Snarl was useful because I was able to drop their special attack. I got a handy, I believe I got a handy little crit there too for some extra damage. So Chi-Yu is obviously going to faint this turn, but I did get some Fire Spin damage. So the idea, not so much in this case, was to trap the opponent on more of a physical attacker, and then have them trapped in there, or a special attacker, and you could drop their special attack, and they couldn't swap or anything like that, and doing double damage with Fire Spin and Will-O-Wisp. Chi-Yu is down there. We're going to go to our next Chi. This is the PIMPNITE special. I've done a sweep on this set. It's actually a physical Chi-Yu. It's pretty fun. I've come up with some amazing Mirror Herb sets over this generation, and I actually quite like this set. It's pretty terrible because it requires quite a bit of luck element, but it's taken a lot of people by surprise, actually. So my only way to truly win this battle now is to be able to pull this set off, because this Judgment is hitting really hard, and I don't really have any Pokemon left that can one-shot it at this point. Plus, I've also got to get around Torkoal too, which is less of a problem. So we're going to go for Swagger, and I'm going to get a attack boost because I'm holding the Mirror Herb now. Arceus is confused too, and not that it's a physical attack at all, but I was hoping maybe if it can hit itself a Confusion, and that'll be a bonus, then I can use Crunch. And it did hit itself a Confusion. It didn't do a lot of damage, but I could finish it off here with a Crunch, which is awesome. So that is the end of Arceus to the physical Chi-Yu. That worked out absolutely perfectly there. My other Chi-Yus were on a lower amount of health too, so Judgment would have fainted them, so that was really, really clutch. Torkoal's going to come in, and I thought, you know what? I've got Flare Blitz. Flare Blitz in the sun at +2 is probably going to almost do around the same as what Crunch is going to do. They haven't Terra'd yet. They may go for a different Terra and not expect a fire move, so I ended up going for that. They're going to go for Terra Fire here, which didn't really surprise me at all. It's a pretty good Terra on Torkoal. Now, Torkoal is going to get hit by the full load here. Look at this damage. That was really, really impressive. Very impressive. Torkoal's got a nice high defensive stat too. It's going to go for Flamethrower, so that is going to be the end of my my physical Chi-Yu. But an absolute goat there, taking out that Arceus, that special Arceus. I've got 2 Chi-Yus left here. Obviously, outspeeding them is not going to be an issue. Chi-Yu number 5 is going to come in. Now, this one has Dark Pulse, and I've got Terra Blast Water. I was like, you know what? I'm going to show them I've got Terra Blast Water. And if for some weird reason they even live this, which I highly doubt, Flamethrower is going to be not very effective. Terra Grass and Terra Water work very well on Chi-Yu too as defensive and offensive because of all of its weaknesses here. Not so much in the sun though, but I actually quite like Grass. A lot of people seem to not expect that. Torkoal's going to go down there, and that is the end of the game. So that was a pretty good battle, pretty powerful team too, just quietly. Definitely my physical Chi-Yu won me that battle. No worries there at all. Let's go on to battle number 2 here. This is a battle against Morgan. We got all random battles today on the Poker Portal. If you did battle me if you were in this video and you did battle me, let me know. Next battle here, we had a Mew lead. So typically when Mew leads, it's normally going to set something up. Stealth rocks, screens, you name it, right? Spikes, all those sort of things. So it went for Toxic Spike, so that was a good turn 1 there, just taunting that. I also thought they may just be sacking it or seeing what moveset I had because, Chi-Yu's pretty good against Mew. So swapping into my other Chi-Yu here, now that I've taunted them, I had a little bit of a feeling they'd swap out there, which they did. And the next Pokemon is going to be Keldeo. So I knew Keldeo was on their team, and I knew they'd try and bait me into a Justified. So, I wasn't obviously going to fall for that. I knew it was going on there. I mean, it's not my first Pokemon barbecue, right? So we're going to go for Psychic. I didn't really want to reveal Terra Grass just yet. And I know it gets Psychic, but, you know, Psychic is a good way of hitting fighting type Pokemon too. So I feel it's quite viable on Chi-Yu, even on whatever set, right? So Keldeo's down. Next Pokemon, Zamazenta. Now, Zamazenta commonly, well, even the when it doesn't have its other form, right? It commonly is it can be a body press set, or it's going to use a fighting move like Close Combat. So I wanted to see what it's going to do. It's going to set up Iron Defense. So straight away, I know it's going to be body press, and I know there's a very high chance it's going to be Terra Fighting as well. Now, this was a pretty good Pokemon for my team. Even my most powerful set, I wasn't sure my Chi-Yu with Choice Spec Psychic would take it. I mean, it would do a lot of damage, don't get me wrong, but I thought I'm going to have to see about getting maybe a bit of damage on there. So this set I didn't really get to show you guys all that much because it was mostly terrible, but it was fun. We got a Bounce, Confuse Ray, Dark Pulse, and Zen Headbutt Chi-Yu. And it's got Wide Lens as the item. This is the worst set on my team, and it was difficult to get it actually working. Like, you tried to get the Bounce Paralysis, and then go Confuse Ray, and then spam Zen Headbutt or Dark Pulse. Max health and max speed, naive nature. So, unfortunately, Chi-Yu got absolutely bodied there, which didn't really surprise anyone, right? Chi-Yu 1's going to come back in here. Now, Chi-Yu 1, this is the Choice Spec set. So I thought, all right, I'll go Psychic. This has to do a lot of damage, right? It just hung on sadly. So I would say the damage calc there, I believe they've got a bit in special defense for sure. Absolutely. They got a crit there. That didn't matter. You know, Chi-Yu's entire family tree would have been taken out by that one. So now I've got a bit of a problem. I've lost my Choice Spec set, which is my high damage mon on this team. Kind of like my Wall Breaker, really, right? So this is the next most powerful set here. I've also got Psychic on this as well, and that's going to be able to take out Zamazenta, which is good. You know, that was a very, very big threat. I thought about running Wise Glasses on this, but I went with Citrus Berry. You know, with such a barren move floor as well. I have done a Chi-Yu guide too if you want to check it out. But this video gives you a good idea how to go about using Chi-Yu. You know, sweat and memes, right? So another Arceus. This time it's Arceus normal. I'm going to go for Fire Blast here. Great damage there, as expected. And they had Hyper Voice. Like, oh, okay. Is that going to be Throat Spray? As soon as I say, like, it has to be Throat Spray, right? So two special Arceus in two battles there. It's a little bit of a refresher from the normal Terra Normal's Extreme Speed spam. Arceus is going to get dropped there. So things are going pretty well so far. Now we've got Zacian. This is a huge problem for my team. Zacian, although it was weak to fighting, fire, it had fighting and fairy, you know, which they didn't have to do a lot. Let's put it that way. They just had to press the A button. So I'm thinking if there's only one Pokemon on my team that has a chance of handling this, and it's a combination right, of Pokemon, and I say handle it pretty loosely, right? So I've got Taunt and I've got Reflect, so I thought I could Memento them, but that's only going to be like a band-aid to the situation. They could just swap it out and swap it back in later and press A, right? I'm thinking if I go Reflect here, and I'm going to try and set up my bulky set, you know, the Will-O-Wisp set? I've got a bit of a strategy to get around Zacian with that. And you see Zacian a lot in singles battles and stuff, so I can sort of prepare a set that would kind of work for that. So they're going to go for the Crunch there. That's the end of Chi-Yu. Now, I know they've got Crunch, and I was thinking, if I go Terra Ghost, you know, Terra Ghost Will-O-Wisp, that'll burn them, and I've got a Reflect up there. So there's no way they're going to be able to, you know, get around Chi-Yu then. And I've got Fire Spin too, and Fire Spin will still do pretty good damage to them with my ability, and it'll also trap them in so they can't just swap out of that, you know, match up and stuff like that. So going for the, this actually looks really cool, like Terra Ghost on Chi-Yu. It's like I guess you could say it's a goldfish that got flushed down the toilet. So they're going to go for another attacking move there. Play rough. That does donkeys. So that's Zacian now burned, and I've got to Reflect up. So they could go for Crunch here, but I'm not even worried. There's no way that's going to even come close to feigning me. It's probably like a 3-hit KO at very, very most, unless they got repeated defensive drops and stuff like that. I don't know whether they've got Sword Dance or not either, but I thought I better start attacking them here too, in case they do. I've got Hex too, which is going to be boosted by the Will-O-Wisp or the burn damage. I thought, look, maybe I should get some super effective damage on them. So they're going to go for Behemoth Blade now, obviously the most spammable move. And look how much that's doing. It's doing nothing. So if I wasn't running max defense, it would be doing a heck of a lot more. So Fire Spin does pretty good damage there. That's pretty nice. Just due to the weakness and its ability. And all this while, I'm getting some leftover recovery there too. This has actually worked out very, very well as a Zacian counter, especially with the Reflect Up. That made a very big difference as well as Burn. So now they're going to go for a Sword Dance. Like, damn, I hope I don't miss with my Fire Spin here. And thank goodness I didn't miss. Because I'd say that next crunch would have got very, very close to taking me out there. So now Zacian is going to take some extra damage there from the Fire Spin, or the Burn and the Fire Spin, whatever comes first, and that's Zacian down. So that was excellent. I would have lost the battle if I didn't have this set right now. So we got 2 Pokemon left. Next Pokemon is Mewtwo. So Mewtwo typically is a fast special attacker, and it likes to spam Psy Strike and Ice Beam, Shadow Ball, those sort of things. I was really only worried about Aura Sphere or the rare Focus Blast. That's about it, because Chi-Yu's special defense is nice. So swapping into the physical one, I smelled a bit of a rat there with Shadow Ball, and I made the correct choice there. And I thought I might need that other Chi-Yu for a sack or something like that, or a swapping. So Mewtwo has absolutely nothing to use against me but Shadow Ball, so I don't even have any bulk on this set at all. It's my physical sweeping set. So we've got the Swagger on Mewtwo now, just hoping it doesn't have Drain Punch. That would be really, really bad. And I've got the +2, and I can go for Crunch here. And all that's left is Mew and Mewtwo, which are both weak to Crunch. And they've already done their Terra Fighting Zamazenta. So I was deliberately leaving it to this point, but there's no way I could have dealt with Zacian with this set here. I would have been, imagine giving Zacian attack, and that would have been a nightmare, right? So Mewtwo is going to get rolled out like a lounger and rug, the homie malnourished Mewtwo. And we've got one more left, which is the Mew from earlier on. This Mew, I'm not going to allow it to do anything, like any damage at all to me. I'm just going to go for Crunch and absolutely dumpster. So physical Chi-Yu cleaning up beautifully. A perfectly executed battle there. Let's get on to battle number 3. Thank you for the battle, Morgan, as well. I got that little Applin. Oh, they had the Applin basket and Meowstic in there. I've seen that. Next battle is against Mjari. I have no idea what that's supposed to mean. We have got a Toxapex lead. Toxapex, I knew was in their team preview, so I just taunted them because they've got some sort of annoying status move like Toxic Spikes, Baneful Bunker, but this one used Hydro Pump, and that did an enormous amount of damage. So oh, have they actually got something interesting? Like, is this Choice Specs? I don't know. Like, it has to at least be max special attack, right? And modest nature would have had to be, because Chi-Yu's got a lot of special defense. So I was like, oh, this is interesting. So what I did is I actually went for Mento here, because truly there wasn't much I could really do to it apart from burning Jealousy or whatever. So I also wanted to see what other moves they would go for. And they went for Hydro Pump again. It's like, oh, that's interesting. They must be Choice Specs, I've run Choice Specs, Toxapex, and yeah, it's pretty bad, but it could be fun with Regenerator. So I thought, all right, it's either Specs or it's something else. So I went for Swagger here to increase my own attack. And I thought this would be good because I can go for Crunch. And that should, depending on, I'd say if they're running special attack EVs, that should be like a 2-hit KO, hopefully, It still is very, very bulky. So getting those Mirror Herb boosts there. Toxapex is confused at the moment, and it's going to hit itself for Confusion for a thumping 2 damage there. So I can see the taunt is now gone. So like, I'm just going to attack. I'm pretty convinced here they don't have it, and they didn't use Baneful Bunker. I'm like, okay, cool. They don't have it. I also got a defense drop there. They had Rocky Helmet. That was the item, so pretty standard item on Toxapex. Toxapex is going to hit itself for Confusion again, so they're getting some pretty bad luck at the moment, but I wasn't really convinced that Toxapex was going to be a hard Pokemon to get around with this team, really. So now they're going to go for Baneful Bunker. They actually did have it. So I don't know if they had any other poison moves on there or they just had Hydro Pump. I'm not sure. It was a bit interesting they went for Hydro Pump on my last Chi-Yu that had a tiny little bit of health. So I'm not sure. Anyway, so I'm getting poisoned here. Now I'm thinking, are they going to swap out for Regenerator or are they Merciless? They could well be. But anyway, they didn't swap out and Toxapex is going to faint. So interesting start to the battle there. Next Pokemon is Gardevoir. So Gardevoir is going to trace my ability, which is pretty good on a special set, mind you. I didn't really want to allow that to have that in case it was like some weird set. So I just went for Flare Blitz here. I thought if I get rid of Gardevoir, I'll get rid of myself at the same time with the recall damage. So 2 Pokemon for 1, you know. This just physical Chi-Yu wasn't all that bad. I'm not saying it's the best set in the world, by no means. There's a lot of luck element to it, but its performance was pretty solid. Chi-Yu 4 we're going to bring in here now, which is the terrible bounce flinching set. And we've got Frostlass in there. Oh, it's shining. I hardly even noticed there. So I've got Bounce and I've got Confuse Ray and Dark Pulse. Now, I know the Dark Pulse will do tons of damage, but they've probably got some sort of scummy like Focus Sash or Destiny Bond. That's one thing I thought of straight away. So I wanted to see what moveset they were actually running. So Bounce is going to do 3 damage there to Frostlass. Now they're going to go Psych Up. I'm like, huh? Did they expect me to try and boost my stats or something like that? Interesting. So I went for Confused right here. So so far they've shown me they've got Psych Up and Destiny Bomb. Now, you have to imagine they've got some sort of Ghost or Ice move there or some sort of attacking move, on the Frostlass. So they're going to go for Ice Beam here. Ice Beam's going to obviously do very, very little to me at all. So I've got Dark Pulse here as well. I was like, I want to go for Bounce one more time because I think they might swap here because it's not a very good matchup for them at all. They're doing no damage, but they stayed in. So that was a bit unfortunate. Plus, they kept using Destiny Bomb too. So I didn't want to just sack my own Chi-Yu to Destiny Bomb. So we've almost got them to half of the health there, and then they freaking curse-bodied my Bounce. So I don't know, I never ever got a Paralyze. I don't think I got 1 Paralyze with Bounce out of the entire time that I used this crappy set, you know. And I mean, 30% isn't a bad chance. I mean, it's not a good, to be fair, it's not a good chance either, but once you've used it so many times, you maybe expect to get 1, you know. So now I've got nearly half my health gone here. I'm just going to get rid of this thing. Let's just go for the Dark Pulse. So I don't have any special attack EVs, by the way, either. It's all in attack. So Frostlass is down, half the team's gone, which is pretty good. Now we've got Meloetta. Meloetta's got a nice fat special defensive stat, and I've got a feeling that they're probably going to go for Terra, and Terra Fairy's normally pretty solid on Meloetta too, so I thought, maybe I could paralyze this. So I was like, oh wait, no I can't, because it's disabled from the cursed bodies. I'm like, all right, I'll just attack it with one of my attacking moves, I guess. Or I could even go Confuse Ray. So we got Terra Dark here. It's like, oh, okay. Terra Dark. So it's not bad. So Meloetta, it's good. It's turned to the dark side, you know. So I ended up going for Confuse right here. I thought, bugger, I want to see if I can get this set to work. Now, I can't actually use Zen Headbutt. And, I mean, I've got Dark Pulse. That's pretty much about it. Now, Meloetta hits herself. It's like, look like it slapped herself there. Hit itself for Confusion. And I was like, man, it's going to take forever to fight this thing with this crappy moveset. I'm going to do a swap here. I might be able to get it to use later on in the battle or whatever. So bringing in Chi-Yu 2. Chi-Yu 2 was the bulky set with Hex and stuff like that. Now, Meloetta's going to go for Focus Blast. I'm like, oh, no. That's going to take my entire team out, right? Focus Blast will take every member in my team out, no worries. Unless I tear him. It's also got Life Orb on top of it too. So bringing in Chi-Yu 4 here, I thought, all right, this time I'm really going to get this set to work here. I've got Dark Pulse. How about we try and flinch them, you know? So going for Dark Pulse, as expected, it did donkeys, and it snapped out of Confusion. Like, okay, please flinch, but it didn't get a flinch. So yeah, that's going to be the end of Chi-Yu 4. So I'm like, all right, I have to do something. I've got to get rid of this thing. I also didn't want to bring in my better Pokemon yet too, because imagine if it survived and then got rid of one of them and then I was stuck with that crappy bounce set, it would have been bad. So into the Toxapex set now. I'm pretty set up here to clean up the rest of their team. I'm in a pretty good position. So I'm going to go for Overheat. If they did want to swap or anything like that. Nothing could have swapped into that and survived. So that is going to be it of the Meloetta there. And that's also the Terra Pokemon gone too. Now, the next Pokemon to come out here is going to be Cincino. So I'm guessing this is going to be a typical sort of technician or skill link sort of set here. And they're going to go for Rock Blast. So Rock Blast actually hits me, is that 3 times? No, 4 times. So, I wonder if I could have lived that. But if it was skill link, then no. So that's the end of my Choice Specs set there. Yeah, the Choice Specs set. So I've got one more Pokeball left. I was like, all right, Chi-Yu 5. This should be okay. So we got Chi-Yu 5 here. Now, I haven't Terra'd yet. I thought I'll go Fire Blast. And I've got Terra Water, right? So I'll be able to live this attack, no worries at all, right? And Fire Blast will take out Minccino because Minccino is a sweeper. This thing's got big special attack, right? Max health, max special attack. So we're going to go Terra Water to resist that Rock Blast. Rock Blast, as you can see, is not doing very much damage at all. Plus, I also had Citrus Berry on this too, so I could have enough health to live the next Pokemon as well. The last Pokemon that I had too was a Steel type. It was Tinkaton. So at this stage, we're like, all right, I've got enough health to live a Fake Out. If they do have it, Fire Blast will torch the Minccino and Fire Blast will torch the Tinkaton. And I missed the Fire Blast. So that right there basically handed them the game on the platter. They could freely go for a Bullet Seed without having to work there. And that's it. That's the Pokemon for you. Sometimes you get some really crappy misses at the completely wrong time. That's how it goes. Anyway, taking with the battle, that was the third battle I had there. Definitely a lucky miss at the end there with Tinkaton as their last Pokemon. Next battle here we got is battle number 4. This is a battle against Jimmy JG. I don't know how that sounds. So, this was a good battle too, but this opponent had some really, really specific counters to my team. And in the team preview, like, man, this is going to be rough, right? First Pokemon straight away is Clodsire. Very, very nasty Pokemon. Pokemon like Garchomp, Clodsire, any of those powerful ground type moves, and bulky too, were always difficult to get around. Plus, they also had another Pokemon which was difficult as well, which we'll get to. So they had a Flash Fire Pokemon on their team, which I knew they'd try that. It was fairly obvious, so I didn't want to go for any fire type moves. I just set the Reflect up. I thought, I could taunt the lead and then I could go Mento. In case this had like Calm Mind and other things too. I wasn't really worried about this Chi-Yu, right? It didn't really do too much. I kind of put it on there just for Glimoras and, Stealth Rock Pokemon and Toxic Spikes and all those sort of things. Because that way I'd have to keep swapping my Chi-Yus into Stealth Rocks all the time. So that's my first Pokemon down. No real great loss there. I've got Chi-Yu 1 here, which is easily going to be able to take this out. Now, I've got Dark Pulse here. I thought, well, you're going to have to swap something into a Dark Pulse, and it's going to hurt. So I'd say it's going to probably be a 2-hit KO against everything. 1 to 2-hit KO against everything on their team, right? So in comes Dragapult. Dragapult's going to get destroyed. There's no way it's going to live that. I don't think I even needed Choice Specs to take that out. So that's good. That was a faster Pokemon than me. Next Pokemon's going to be the Greninja. Now, this was a very, Greninja was a huge counter to my team because it outsped me. It had, powerful protein water moves too. So priority, it was difficult, man. So going into Chi-Yu 4 here, I was like, this is probably gone. I just have to sack this off. And they've got Hydro Pump as well. Like, man, this is a rough counter. So Chi-Yu 4 just completely wiped. Absolutely nothing I can do. So I'm like, okay, I'm pretty much forced to go for a Terra here if I want to continue this battle. And of course, I got Life Orb as well, so doing crazy magic damage. So I've got Chi-Yu 1. This is definitely the best Pokemon on my team. I was like, I've got Terra Grass. I guess I pretty much have to go for that. Otherwise, I'm going to last about 2 more minutes, right? Now they're going to go into their Armor, which I had a little feeling they might do, but I thought, even if they did that, I've got Choice Specs and my ability. If this is not a real bulky set, if it's more of a sweeping set, it's going to do tons of damage regardless. And Clodsire's not going to like coming, a lot of Pokemon are not going to like coming into this step. So Armorogue's not going to take that well. That's a clean 2-hit KO there, which is really good. So now their swap-in Flash Fire Pokemon is gone, which frees me up to be able to use fire moves a little bit more. I don't have to think as much about using them. So that's down. I was like, okay, is Greninja going to come in and use Ice Beam? I was like, nah. What they're going to do is they're going to hold on to that Greninja like a newborn baby. And once my Grass Terra's gone, they're just going to press A with Hydro Pump, right? That was how I was looking at this battle. So I had to conserve my Terra Grass Pokemon for later on. So Tinkaton is going to come in and use Stealth Rocks. I had a bit of a feeling they would do that, but there wasn't much I could do about it. And I was also Choice Specs too. If I wasn't, I could have just one-shotted Tinkaton there. So now we've got a Terra here. Typically, this likes to run Terra Fairy. It's good standard across the board there. And it will probably have Play Rough, right? That's typically what it has. So this set was my bulky Will-O-Wisp set. I thought if I can burn the Tinkaton, I should be able to easily shut it down, So I take the Play Rough really, really well. I guess they're probably a bit surprised of how well I took that one. And now we got the burn on there, which is very, very good. I don't think I had... No, I didn't have Reflect at this point either. It was just such a defensive Chi-Yu. So I've got the burn going. I don't imagine they're going to want to swap in this case at all. Clodsire is not going to want to swap into a Will-O-Wisp. Either is a Greninja. So they're going to knock off my item. It's just the standard Tinkaton set, right? So I'm going to go for Fire Spin. And now they're trapped in, and I've pretty much got them here. There's not much they can do at all in terms of damage at all. I've also got Hex too, and I've got Fire Spin damage, which is, it actually starts to rack up, pretty quickly there. So now I figured that it'll be like a 2-hit KO with Hex from here, maybe even a 1 with the double base power. They're still sort of just play roughing at the moment. Now I was thinking, what are they going to do next? They're either going to go into, I'd say they're going to go into Greninja and just finish me off there. They'd have to risk going for Hydro Pump though. Where they could swap in Clodsire and go for Earthquake, So that's what I was thinking. I knew they weren't ever going to risk that Greninja. Plus, they also had another super duper counter in the back as well as that too. So I was like, I don't know how I'm going to deal with these. So I sort of had to think ahead a lot in the battle. Next Pokemon here is the Clodsire. This is nowhere near as threatening as the Greninja and the other mystery Pokemon. So I thought I'll just go for the Will-O-Wisp. That way, Earthquake is probably not going to one-shot even my sweeping sets there. I was thinking maybe I could go for I could try the physical Swagger set on Clodsire. Maybe that could be a thing, I wasn't very confident about it with Greninja though, because it would just outspeed me. So I thought maybe I could use that against Clodsire. So I got a bit of damage there on Clodsire, which is good. It's going to be able to flank you with Earthquake there. It's cool that I was able to live a second Earthquake with the burn, right? So we had, what do we got? Three more Pokemon left, and we got a burn Clodsire. So I knew I could get past Clodsire. I had a chance of getting around the Greninja as well, because I know that my Chi-Yu had a good chance of living its attack there. Would have to use, I was thinking at this point it would probably use Ice Beam. It's what, a typical Greninja set. It was just that last Pokemon that I was a bit worried about. So we're going to give this Swagger onto the Clodsire here, and I was like, I'm just going to go Flare Blitz or Crunch or something like that. I think that's the best way to do that. I wanted to not, I didn't want to use my other Chi-Yu just yet, I actually wanted that Chi-Yu for the last mystery Pokemon. That was my plan anyway. And I wanted to have a decent amount of health, as you'll get to see why. So Clodsire is down now to half its health, which is definitely manageable. I've got Crunch. I thought, well, if it's got Unaware, I'm just going to go for Flare Blitz and try and finish it off. And it did, so that was really good, getting rid of that. That was nice. Now, we've got Greninja now, which I know is a high chance of coming in, and they brought in the Breloom. So Breloom, as you know, can just press Mach Punch on mine. Breloom can actually single-handedly take out my entire team once I've used up my Terrorite. So, and there's a good chance that it could have a Focus Ash, it could have loaded dice, it could have choice bait, those sort of things. So I swapped in my Grass one here. I was like, I could go for Overheat here. I could even go for Terra Blast Grass on the incoming Greninja, but I thought I have to lock myself into Psychic here. If they do swap out, it's gonna suck, but I have to go for Psychic here because I know they're going to go for Ice Beam. And, you know, if I lock myself into Psychic, it's super effective against the Breloom, and it doesn't have a chance of missing. Terra Blast, Grass won't take them out either. So here comes a Hydro Pump, expecting me to swap there, which is great, which is exactly how I planned, and they got a lucky crit there. So they got a lot more damage than I hoped. I would have had probably 3/4 of my health left there for the Mach Punching Breloom, which I planned about 3 or 4 turns in ahead there. So sadly, that plan didn't come to fruition due to RNG. Last Pokemon here is going to be the Breloom, and they can simply press Mach Punch now that I'm on a lower amount of health from the crit from Hydro Pump. My last Pokemon here is... What set did I have left? It doesn't really matter because they can out-prioritize my set and just one shot. And they have Stealth Rocks too. Maybe they probably just did that for extra damage so Breloom could just press the A button there. Anyway, very, very close battle somehow with all those counters there. I tried to squeeze everything I could out of those sets and I almost won. I wonder though if I would have lived a Mach Punch from the Breloom. I think it would have been close. If it was a Choice Band set, then no, I don't think I would have lived that. It would have been quite close. But if it was another item like Sash or something like that, I don't know what it was. It could have been a couple of items, to be honest. Next battle here, still some really, really good battles this team. I was very happy with how this team was performing, right? Considering you know what it was facing. So next Pokemon battling was Karma Max. Well, I'm hoping for some Karma in this battle, you know. They also had a incoming Flash Fire swap in, so they tried the old Scissor Typhlosion trick, but, you know, I mean, come on. I was doing that when Scissor and Typhlosion first came out with abilities. I wasn't going to fall for that. So in comes Gengar here. I just went for Bounce, and I was hoping for a Paralyze, actually, but I got rewarded with a nice, juicy Curse Body again. So at this stage, I'm going to be real with you. I was ready to release this Chi-Yu because it was just a sandbag the most time. But at least I got a feint on Gengar, which is honestly probably the least threatening Pokemon on the team. Next Pokemon to come out is going to be Titanitar? Oh, okay. So they got that Quark Drive, and this is the PG video, by the way. We're going to go for Confuse Ray. So this is probably definitely going to be a Dragon Dance set. I was really hoping it would not have Rock Blast, because commonly they do have Rock Blast. I was hoping for Stone Edge or maybe Rock Slide. If it had if it had Rock Blast, there was going to be problems there, because once I lost my speed advantage to their Dragon Dance, right? Even a defensive Terra, I'd have to probably go like one of my worst Terras, more defensive Terras, and then I might need that Terra Grass later on or something like, or that Terra Water, you know what I mean? So I didn't really want to do that. Fortunately, I actually got a nice confusion hit there. So a Rock Slide is going to take out Chi-Yu 4. So that was pretty good. It had Rock Slide. The only bad thing about Rock Slide, of course, is you can get flinched too. So going into Chi-Yu 3 here, this is the Focus Sash set. Now, I had Burning Jealousy, I had Reflect, I had Memento. I was hoping they would hit themselves to Confusion again, so honestly. They're going to use Rock Slide. So that's going to put me on 1 health. I was going to go for Burning Jealousy here, but I thought, what if it lives, you know? You know what I mean? So I was like, let's just go for Memento. At least then I've dropped its stats, you know? That could be a good idea to do that. Because it was at least going to resist that. If they went for a Dragon Dance that turn, that would have been different. I could have got a burn. Burning Jealousy is a very, very situational move. So I've got Terra Water here. The only thing I was like, I hope they don't go for an electric move here. That would really, really suck, and then I would have wasted my Terra. So I thought about this for a bit, like, I'm pretty convinced that they're going to keep going for a Rock Slide, at least until maybe my last Pokemon or second one, because then it's kind of obvious I'm going to go for a different Terra. You'd imagine that. That's sort of how Terra works anyway. So we're going to go for Terra Water here. It's truly is a goldfish. They're going to snap out of Confusion, and they got a Rock Slide off here. That still did tons and tons of damage. This is the Citrus Berry set, and I got about... It's pretty close to be able to live one more Rock Slide if I did indeed get flinch, which I didn't, which was nice. So that's the end of Iron Thorns. That was a pretty scary Pokemon, actually. Next one to come out here is going to be Scizor. of course, this set, I was like, let's just go Fire Blast here. I mean, Scissor's probably the least threatening Pokemon in the world. This team has to verse it all. Unless it had, I don't know, it's like, unless it had like a defensive terror or something like that and Sword Dance, but even then, no. In comes Typhlosion. I was thinking, usually Typhlosion runs Terra Grass with Flash Fire. It's a pretty around-the-board combination that works well. I could go for another move here against it, like Terra Water, and if it failed, like if it was Terra Grass, then so be it. I didn't really mind all that much. So they did go Terra Grass, which is cool. I still got some damage there, so I wasn't too bummed about that. I still had 3 other fish right, and I felt like I was in a pretty good position to, you know, to win this battle. I sort of, what I do in a Pokemon battle, I actually think about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, sometimes 10 steps in ahead. I sort of do the battle in my head, and then I sort of think of things along the way that could happen, and then I'll do this and this and this. That's generally how I like to battle, right? A lot of battling's about prediction. So we got Scorching Sands there. It's a good coverage move. Sadly for Typhlosion, Chi-Yu has a fat special defense, so it's not even gonna, you know, do half damage. So that's their Terra Pokemon down. Now, this is where things were interesting. So, next Pokemon is Malamar. Now, Malamar commonly runs the Superpower Contrary set. I really, really, really wanted to go Swagger on them and give them an attack boost and drop their attack by 2 stages, but I was like, man, I don't want to swap it into a Superpower. I got to try it after. So they're going to pop Superpower. That does a lot of damage there. Now, the Malamar can run a sweeping set, so it's like max attack and max speed. It can run very specially defensive with Assault Vest, with Superpower. It can do a variety of things, so I was a bit worried that it might be kind of specially defensive, but I was like, okay, you've got speed EVs there. So now it's got +2 in attack, and it's got +2 in defense. I have to get rid of this right now. It's going to, you know, absolutely steamroll the rest of my team. I thought about going to the physical Chi-Yu, but I was like, well, even if I do that with Swagger, that's not going to make it -2 in attack. You'll just put it back to where it was. So I have to go Overheat. I have to get rid of this now. So that's Malamar gone, which is good. We got 1 more Pokemon left. Now the last Pokemon of the team could have been, you know, was a bit threatening as well, because I was locked into Choice Specs Overheat. But I thought, if I go Overheat now, that'll do a good chunk of damage there. And I missed. Now, that miss cost me dearly, right? That was a very, very bad miss, because I would have done, you know, a quarter of their health there for sure with that. So I had to swap out. They got a Nasty Plot up on the swap. I wasn't sure if they were going to have it just a generic Choice Scar set, or Nasty Plot, and they're going to be able to get Dragon Pulse off. That actually didn't even kill my Chi-Yu, but they outsped me. So now what I've got to do is I've got to go back into my Choice Specs Chi-Yu, and this one's actually timid, whereas that other Chi-Yu's adamant. So you have to go adamant with that like crappy set. Watch the Overheat damage here. So obviously my Overheat from before that missed, you know, that cost me the battle there, so I would have fainted them. But another really close battle due to a miss there. It's just how it is, some really, really close battles. We got battle number 5 there, which is awesome. So really, really happy with the battles to this team. They were excellent, like all of them. So last battle here we got today, we got a Noibat lead. It's like, oh, this is interesting. My opponent led with Noibat, and it was called Coffee as well. You know, I don't drink coffee. I have G Fuel, but you know, code SALT, get that one off. Link in the description there. Get that fat 20% off. I'm gonna taunt the little bat because I thought it might set up Tailwind, but it went for Thief and it stole my focus set. Like, it's a troll set, right? Now, I really don't have a lot to do here, so I was like, I'll go Reflect, and I guess I'll do some damage with Burning Jealousy. Here comes Dragon Pulse for a fat 2 damage on Chi-Yu. I didn't really want to go Mento against a bat, so I thought this will still do lots if it's not, you know, I know that it's not like an Everlight set because they stole my item. So I got a 2-hit KO on the little bat there. It's actually quite a good shiny. I don't believe that I've done a Noibat and Noivern Evo team either. Maybe that could be one I do in the future. Maybe at the moment I'm at like Gen 3 and I'm just finishing off the ones I've never done before, or the ones that are possible. So next Pokemon is Garchomp. Now I've seen a lot of Garchomps and a lot of them. The problem with Garchomp is it's fast as well. Yeah, it's quite fast for sure, and it's always got Earthquake or a ground type move, you know. it's a little bit... the problem about Garchomp, too, it's faster than Chi-Yu. It's got 2 more base in speed than Chi-Yu, which really, really sucks, you know, when you know, we've got a Garchomp, they can just press Earthquake, right? So I generally had to just go Terra Grass straight away. I always had to go Terra Grass. And then that would force me into that Terra, and if I didn't take the Garchomp out then and there, they'd just swap it out and keep it in the back and press A at the end. That's what happened in a lot of battles that I had, right? They just hold on to that one easy counter, and once my Terra had gone, you know, if they didn't have that, then they, you know, a lot of the time they would have lost the battle, but they just held on to that one easy counter. I found I had to deal with that a lot, which makes sense too, because when you've got a Pokemon that's weak to the same things, that's obviously going to happen. So that's 2 of my Goldfish down. We're going to swap into the next one. This Garchomp is causing me a little bit of grief here. I've got Dark Pulse, and I do outspeed, so this Garchomp is not running max speed. Might be kind of defensive. Anyway, next Pokemon is Ogerpon. This is a battle against Michael as well. So if I battled any people watching this video, like, tell me in the comments. I would like to. I hope you guys enjoyed the Movesets here. It was difficult to make them exciting. So Ogerpon's going to get clapped there. Half the team's gone now, which is pretty good. And we got Chi-Yu versus Chi-Yu. I really, really, really wanted to send in my physical fish here. I was like, should I do it? I was like, no, I better go for Dark Pulse for a flinch, you know? So I knew that Dark Pulse would do donkeys, but I went for the flinch, and I got a couple of them off there, which was really, really good. Chi-Yu did not get flinched the second time, and it's going to finish off my Chi-Yu 1 with a Fire Blast there. Half my team is now gone. Yeah, so I thought this is prime real estate to go for Swagger, and then I could take the Chi-Yu out here with virtually anything. I was thinking here, maybe I should go for Terra Blast. I was like, no, I'll go for Swagger, because, I mean, what are they going to do? Fire Blast or Dark Pulse, you know? So at this stage, I actually managed to outspeed them, which is curious. So they're not running a speed nature. So I'd say they're running modest or something like that. So getting my attack up now and confusing the little fish. This definitely has the best shiny. I mean, do you think this has the best shiny out of the 4 Runerists? Let me know. I think it does. I don't think any of them actually even come close to it remotely. So they actually hit themselves in confusion, which is kind of nice. So I didn't have to take any more damage, and I just went for Terra Blast there. I didn't really want to give too much away with this set. Next Pokemon is going to be Skeledirge. Why is it called Acorn for? There's nothing to do with a nut. I don't understand that. Does anyone understand that? Maybe it's a game reference or some sort of reference I've missed there. Let me know if you can think of that. But anyway, that nut's going to drop. Next Pokemon we got is Zacian. So I knew they had Zacian on their team. I was like, okay, this is where it's going to become difficult. So I've got Flare Blitz. I was like, yeah, I'm going to get outsped. But then they went Behemoth Blade. Like, oh, I'm going to live that one. Maybe they didn't have a lot to hit me with outside of Behemoth Blade, but Flare Blitz is going to completely dominate Zacian, and I actually managed to live the recoil damage. And that's all of the battles. Hope you enjoyed the Chi-Yu team. If you did, drop a like there. Leave me some comments, people, and I'll catch you tomorrow. Peace.